All right, Bevan, 19th overall, mate. Very excited by this one. Welcome in. How are you?
Thanks,
And
mate.
how's this season been for you? I imagine a very smiley one on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I play in a private group. I got involved in fantasy rugby with my son and a little group, about 12 of us, called NRL Donnies. And all of those guys are happy to tell you that I am absolutely rubbish at fantasy rugby, except for this year, where I seem to have sort of dodged all of the really bad sort of injuries, etc., like that. Sort of stayed competitive, and I think more recently because I was in the top 1,000, just inside the top 1,000 before the buy rounds. So I got a spreadsheet. I got very, very disciplined about from round 11 through to 19. I knew exactly what trades to make, who was coming in, who was coming out, how much it was going to cost me, and I kind of stuck to that. And round 20 last week, I kind of picked up all the broken pieces. Like I had King and Ike, and I had Arrow as well, who went off for surgery. So I had a few injury replacements that I needed to fix, but everything else through that period, I think for 13, 16, and 19, I came in or very close to the top 500 in each of those rounds. And that's really where I made ranks.
Yeah,
I went from 850th.
563 to
Yeah,
161 in one week. That was a good one.
yeah, yeah. So I think I was around 850 before the buy round sort of thing, and just made all my sort of ranks in that period just through being disciplined.
Yeah, and a good little start too, mate. You end up after round two, you're at 1500, and wow, went
Yeah, I
to
think I think yeah, I
149.
think you gave me a shout out at being in the 149th spot there at one point, but
That's
then
right.
I kind of went backwards to about
Yeah,
3,000.
it was a big move back. So yeah, great work to
5,000.
be
Oh,
able
it
to
was that bad.
be able to claw it back too. Because yeah, into 5,000 shows is, especially in that first sort of 10 rounds, the week to week changes are pretty wild. But you obviously were able to do it from in
Yeah, I
round
think
13 as
it,
well.
it was more what I avoided than what I got, sort of thing. I avoided a lot of the big sort of casualty things that kind of hit everyone and ruined everyone and forced trades.
Mm.
I made trades, made a lot of trades. I had one trade left last week, sort of thing, and then made sort of forced to make four trades just to put a team on the park.
Yeah, King, Safe, Farth, Aitken, and an arrow there, and some fun trades in there. Obviously, a couple of doggies boys, Starling and Colin Matungi as
Yeah,
well, mate.
I think Kolomatangi was pretty obvious. Starling was a punt, but kind of worked out, and we're still sort of backing that Ricky doesn't sort of nail us in terms of doing something stupid there again.
Yeah,
What is it? The Ricky factor.
that's right.
But yeah, I think Curran's rock solid. I think Jacob Preston coming back from injury, if he stays fit, he should do all right.
Yeah, he's had a weird season, hasn't he? He's still scoring well when he plays, but just keeps getting injured, doesn't he? Random injuries
Yeah,
too, jaw and all
yeah.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
you can say that about some of the. Look at where we are, mate. There's seven people I think in that are 800 grand or more. This
yeah,
this time last year, there was that many people over 900. I think. You know.
that is pretty crazy. And just for context, guys, Bev's in 19th spot overall. He is 7 points better off than Don, the two leaders of our private group. So yeah, just giving a good shout out to these boys there. And Don had a good 903. He had an 884, so he clawed back a couple of points there. But you mentioned that you were talking around some strategy heading into the last
Yeah,
7 rounds, and you and Don in potentially going for different strategies. So it'll be fun to see how it works out. Can you tell us a little bit about the way
yeah. We're
you're going to
having a
play it?
Okay, so I mean, Don and I, via the private group, we're having a great chat yesterday, the day before, about what strategy do you take, and I'm gonna put all my money on Nathan to come in and do well, and I'm sort of he's still a huge the re-injury rate for hamstrings is really high. I think most people know that, so there's a risk there on him playing, but the bigger risk for me is everyone else in the top sort of 20 has Nathan. They captain him, and I don't captain him, and he goes nuts. That's where you just get relegated or
Yep.
you miss out. So I'm taking that strategy, but Don's more. I'm going to keep all my trades, and if big injuries happen, like Nathan gets injured again, blah blah blah, he's
Mm.
going to sit there and be able to dominate because he'll have the trade capacity to actually deal with it. So they're two different sort of strategies that we're looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got 7, I believe, and you're at 5. Is that right for now?
Yeah, it was five. I'm going to make two this week, so that'll leave me with three. So
So Nath comes in, and who?
I'm going to bring in Jack Howarth.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
who comes
So
out?
I think his coach is saying he's kind of got that spot now. It's his to
Mm.
lose. So yeah, I'll stick with him.
And who's coming out then?
Getting rid of Mr. Plath and Mr. Weeks.
Mm.
Uh, they kind of haven't been performing. Plath not he was a better middle forward than he was a hooker, as it turns out. So
Yeah.
hasn't been performing well there.
I didn't think it'd be that big a drop, but hopefully it does come
Yeah,
back a little bit for myself
I don't
anyway.
think
But
I mean, he could still, the week before he made 55 tackles and missed hardly anything, So
mm.
the guy's just, I think, just getting used to the position. So I think he's a good player. I think he's an excellent player, but no sort of attacking stats since he's been in hooker spot. I think that's kind of killing us a little bit as well.
Yeah, those run meters and obviously the odd tackle break and offload. And you got Isaiah Yeo and Nikra, the big dogs coming back this week. So that'll be helpful. And would you
Yeah,
say you've had
big fan of Yo.
Eisenhuth all year?
Haven't had him all year. He was
Okay.
part of my buy planning
Okay.
strategy.
Cool.
So I dragged him in around 10 or 11 or something like that. And
Yeah.
but kind of when I bought him in, it was the guys in my private group, my other group were sort of laughing at me. Then he kind of went really big for a couple of weeks, and they're just like, "Where'd that come from?" When did I get him in?
Yeah. So 601K when you grabbed him there, and he's
Yeah,
at 575. So he's kind of hung around the same, just up
yeah.
and down, isn't he? Sometimes you get big minutes. The next week he gets like 47, and it's weird,
Yeah,
eh?
I mean that's been the frustrating challenge, which is why like this week I'm not going to play him. But yeah, he's good, but he's hot and cold based on the minutes.
Yeah. And you picked
But you
up.
can say that about a lot of players this year, right? Terrell May, I had Nat Butcher for a while, trying to pick the rotation of the chook sort of forwards is like trying to win lotto sort of thing, right? So
Apart from
it's
Crichton.
been a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I even ended up with Jack DeBellin in there as well. So the odd random week. So yeah, like there's a bunch of things that haven't worked out perfectly, mate, and you still end up in a good spot, which is nice.
Yeah, had Pappy. We're all kind of fingers crossed that Pappy was going to say fit. I had Zach Hoskins, who's one of my favorite
Oh yeah.
sort of fantasy players, and he got significantly injured. Actually, weirdly, the only guy I've had from the start is Tyrone Wishart. He's the
Hey,
only
that
guy.
one worked out perfectly.
Yeah, and I think because I'm as old as hell, I think I remember his old man playing, and just he reminds me
Was it
of his
Rod, is
old
it?
man. Yeah,
Oh,
Rod
Roddy? Yeah.
Wishart. Yeah, he's sort of big,
Well,
fast.
he's
Uh,
got some talent there following on in his footsteps, and I definitely
yeah.
didn't see that coming. Like he was always playing 14, and as soon as
Yeah,
you
it was
take in
a
this role and
reserve hooker sort of thing. He was coming on and getting like 20, 30 minutes here and there. And then he got one round, which I bizarrely didn't play him. I had him in my emergencies. Didn't notice that someone had dropped out and he got to play halfback and he got 66 points or something. I was like, oh wow, okay. And then, Munster goes down and he gets the opportunity to get in that spot. And yeah, he's just gone gangbusters. It's
that's right.
insane.
He covered for Hughes for a couple of weeks when he had that calf problem, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a nice combination, Wishy and Hughes, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think? What are the players that are going to kind of take you over the edge? You reckon? Who are you kind of guys you're focusing on that are going to take you above all these guys ahead of you? Have you had a look at the
I
guys in
think
front too?
Yeah, no, had a sticky beak. Be lying if I said I hadn't had a good look at their
Yeah,
teams. I think I've got Yo, and I've noticed a lot of people are bringing in Yo this week and last week, sort of thing, right?
yeah,
He's a sort of lock in my squad. I think Curran, Kolomatangi, the guys that I think are going to score big. Damien Cook's the other one. Is I kind of like where he's going, his game's at the moment. The fact that he got kicking last week and they scored a few tries. That kind of helped. So I think Cook will be, and again, you kind of set in your hooker position this time of the season, sort of thing. So I
yeah.
don't think too many people will trade out the Rob Marnie or whoever they've got as a Reed Money, sorry, for a change in hooker. So, but Grant's making progress, making inroads back again as well.
Yeah, well, actually, he's probably one of the lower ownership guys you've got. Obviously, Preston's going to be the other guy that if he can go and average 55 or 60, he'll be able to really help you. And
Yeah, I've
maybe
got
Karaz as well, fairly low
Yeah, I've
ownership.
got Britton Nakora there as well. Who's going to come back? Who's
Yeah.
back this week? And he's been in great form. Just it depends on how well the Sharkies going to go.
Mm.
My son's a Sharkies fan. They're kind of it's got to be tough being a Sharkies fan, I reckon.
Yep,
They're good
up
and
and
then
down
they're
nature.
rubbish.
Got to be
Yeah.
better than being a Tigers fan. So
I'm a Canberra fan once upon a time. So, but
okay.
my son's convinced I'm more sort of Panthers now. I like Ivan Cleary as a coach. I like Ivan Cleary and the sort of culture that he's developed with the Penrith boys is great.
Done a terrific job, that's for sure. And mate,
Yeah.
I wanted to have a little bit of a laugh about it. I feel like you're on your book tour at the moment. So we had Will
Yes.
from the NRL Fantasy Fanatics. Wanted to shout him out
Yes.
there for the grind and the effort he's putting into to create his little Instagram page and YouTube channel at the moment. And he had you on there before. So if anyone wanted to check out that chat as well, NRL
Yeah.
Fantasy
Well,
Fanatics in
yes.
there as well.
My family and friends are laughing at my sort of meteoric rise in the NRL fantasy. Something I've done just for fun, obviously, in my
Yeah.
spare time. But they're like, "Hey, you're actually doing all right at this year." So even my wife's starting to pay attention. That's weird.
There you go. Well, you got to take your
Yeah,
5 minutes of fame, and hopefully it ends up
yeah,
being a year
yeah.
of
I'll
fame
be
if
I'll, I'll be
you
in
win it.
5,000 soon. So hey, my objective this year was the same as last year. I wanted to finish in the top 2,000.
Okay.
I finished around 14,000, I think, last year. Same objective, but
14,000.
yeah.
What's been the biggest difference? You said just getting a bit lucky with certain guys. Surely you've gotten a bit smarter or anything like that, or
No, I think planning my buy rounds was the I was kind of in the top 1,000 at that point, but I think I've dedicated a little bit more time to it this year.
yep.
I haven't made the emotional trades that I was guilty of all through last year. There's a
Okay.
couple in there. There's a couple of what do we call them, rage trades in there, but for the most part, yeah, just getting more disciplined about what I do and don't do.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. And I suppose that's good to note for people there that if you didn't put that time in over the buy period, you might have gone from 1,000 out to maybe 5 or 6, and
Easily,
then
yeah,
you might be
easily.
10 now because you're a bit over it and you're a bit annoyed
And
about it. So
yeah, I
yeah,
think
it's good
in
to
kind
know.
of round 10, I was looking at the buy rounds and I thought, oh, yeah, round 13, I'll be fine. I'll be able to put up 11 or 12 players. Then I looked at round 19, and with the same team, I would have ended up with about 6 players on the
Okay.
park. And I went, okay, shit, oops, I've got a problem here. So I sort of sat down and started to address that problem and kind of reverse engineered like where I needed to be and the trades I needed to make to get there.
Nice. And did you make then trades for sort of around 13 or 14 with that in mind? Is that kind of
Correct.
what the planning
Yeah,
ended up being?
yeah. Yeah, exactly
Okay.
right. So I was sort of favoring, like
Garrick.
even the trades I made last week and this week were based on the teams that are playing every single one of the last 8 rounds. So if I wanted the Warriors guy, what's his name?
AFB.
Yeah, and them missing out on the last round, like you got to buy on the last round. That for me was enough to go. I won't buy that guy.
Yep.
So yeah, come down to just doing the numbers and sort of player availability is a really key criteria for me.
That makes sense there. So you had those round 14 trades, just looking at them, you had Garrick, Fainu, and Campbell all playing round 19. Well,
Correct.
Campbell didn't
Yeah,
in the end, right? But all right.
yeah. But
I know you missed 17, 18, then played 19.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then only
But I
Garrick.
was happy to, again, once upon a time, I'd emotionally would have traded Mr. Campbell out, but I mean, I hung on to him, knew kind of hoped that he'd get back in 20, which he did.
He did, yeah.
Um, yeah, and he's a great player. That kid in a winning side can put 65 on easily.
Oh, yeah. He's fun to watch.
So great to watch.
And Jai Arrow, mate, that was a fun little trade in for you in round 16. Tell us more about the reasoning there. Was it just a hope that he'd kind of hang on?
Yeah, I didn't. So okay, that was probably a mistake. I didn't know he planned surgery in the end of round 19 or whatever.
We didn't
But
have it
yeah,
planned at that point, but it was.
yeah, I think
I thought he'd get injured at any point and be like, yeah, he's done. But he seems so
yeah,
tough. Probably did it in
yeah.
round
But I
one.
mean, he scored. I think the last round he played, he scored me 63 or something, and he became a sort of great little 3-week pod or however long I had him.
Yeah, it was like 4 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I did. Again, sort of had to pay the price from a trade perspective with getting
Yep.
rid of him. But yeah, Jai I had in my team most of last year. Like how he plays. Sort of,
Okay.
I like I just like the way he plays footy.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was on your radar then when he was going to get
Yeah,
that 80 minutes. Yeah, it worked out great. I think he averaged 55 or 56 over over that 4 week set. So
Mm.
yeah, he was great. I think if you're grabbing Bunnies players anywhere around that sort of round 13 to 16 there, you did really well. And yeah, you didn't even end up with Latrell, did you? That during that stretch he had, did you?
No, yeah, I've sort of got a love-hate relationship with Latrell.
Yeah.
I like him as a player. I think like a lot of people, I kind of expect that he could do more at times. So yeah, I've never really had him in my fantasy equation.
Perfect. All right, we got 16,684 points. How do we win
Yeah.
this thing? That's the big question. So 684,
Oh,
got to get all the
that's
way to
the
909. So 200, what's it,
25 point.
225 points. So how
Yeah.
do we do
So
it?
I figure I'm losing. I was in 19th spot last week.
Yeah, you stayed the
Uh,
same.
I think you said on your video I was about 186 points away. So I kind of lost a bit of ground
Okay.
actually. So I'm hoping I can go bigger this week. I'm hoping that the chin scores 100, and I've got the captain gong on him.
Hmm.
So, and yeah, I hope he stays healthy. It's the other thing.
Yeah, because yeah, you might be, if you go down to 3 trades, you'd probably be ahead of a few. And is there a bunch of people in front of you that are on 4 coming into this week and might be using a few more?
Yeah, I think I look at the yet another fantasy thing, which I excellent little website. Shout out
So
to
good,
those
yeah.
guys. Yeah, they yeah, that one there. You can see down there on if you sort of limit that down to the top 50, you can see who's who's
Yeah,
who's
let's do
got
that.
what.
Let's do
Change
that.
that.
That'll make it easy.
Yeah,
All
and you
right.
go down to what trades. You can see there that there's however 14 or 15 people that have got 4 or better. You know, I'll
Yeah,
have
so you're
5
part of
coming
that.
into this round. So I'm part of that 12, I guess. But
Oh,
yeah, I don't know who the
3 with
psychos
9,
9 or
1 with 10.
there's some. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Um,
At least they're a little bit lower than you.
but they could change that. I mean, he had 12 trades to go or 10 trades to go from here. I mean, you could do all sorts of things.
So there's your one, 5 with 16, 684. Yeah,
Mm,
so in the midst of that graph, in sort of halfway, hey, in that
yeah,
scenario,
I
but
wish I had more trades, but I'm sort of stuck now, right? I've got 3 trades left. I'll only be able to make injury covers. That's it.
yeah, yeah, that's the same. I'm going to be in the same boat. I'm bringing in Cleary and probably Starling, and then with 3 trades, holding and hoping. And you'd imagine sort of a few of these guys in that 7 trades realm are probably the big dark horses at the moment. And then this fellow
Yeah,
with rank 5 with 9 is obviously the big worry for most people.
yeah. Whoever that is, they stand a good chance of winning it.
Yeah, rank
The rest
5.
of us are, we're banking on no injuries or very limited injuries.
Yeah,
I
Benji's
think the other
busters.
you noticed it as well. Look at the team values; very low team values this year because everyone keeps,
Except for
you know,
Don. Don's
where's
at
Don?
14, almost
14.
14
Yeah, he's
1.
killing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
let's have a look
this
at
time
his team
last
over
year,
here
I'm
too.
guessing most people were over 15 that were in the top sort of 50 or 100.
Yeah, last year that was wild. Yeah, so
Yeah,
all right. Don's already got Cleary. He's got Crichton and Fafita. It's a nice little combo. Payne Haas is up there. Reed Marnie. He's got Teddy.
yeah. Don's got a very good side.
Yeah,
Very
so
good
just that
side.
extra little bit. He's probably got, who's he got to fix up? He's got Iro as his second center. But again, center's not really a position we're too worried about, are we? So he's
No,
sort of
I've
spent
got
up in other
Carraz and
areas.
Garrick. Carraz and Garrick, I think will get me over the line on the centers.
Yeah, so you probably got him covered there, but then it's just those extra guys that he's rolling around with, the Crichtons and these
Yeah.
types of guys.
He's
But
got
again,
Tedesco, and Tedesco can be a 70 guy or a 28 guy or whatever, a 30 guy.
yeah.
You just don't know what you're getting with Teddy.
Well, it was super consistent until last week. So, oh, so you
That's
don't
right.
own Teddy either. Okay.
No, I've got Drinky,
That'll be a big
Campbell.
one.
Yeah, so that may be the one that cooks me.
Yeah, well, last week it helped you, thank goodness. But we'll see how they go. And they've got the buy as well. So that's, something there. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely gonna be
yeah,
fun. Everyone's sort of maybe got 4 guys that are different to each other. Like we just look at Kai here, another Cow supporters, got any Kai. Some
mate.
differences there. Obviously, Watson, AFB, a little bit different to where you're at.
Yeah,
Travis Garrick
AFB's
still.
AFB's the guy I would have loved to have got in, but he's they've got that bye last round, and I
Yeah.
figure a couple of players, good players, may be rested on that last round like they were last year.
Hmm.
So I'm sort of trying to save my bullets and not intentionally have someone I know is going to not pay that round. So any Warriors fans were just excluded from my thinking.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, this team's got basically four. Well, it doesn't have Teddy either, and just has three players mainly different to you. So Lucas here in 12th has Cotter, which is a little bit of a point of difference at the moment. Ugh, how
Doesn't
good's
have
holding
Cook.
Galvin been?
Mate, Galvin's been gold. I mean, he's made, not that I've cashed it in the chips, but he's made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Young
And just
fella.
that
What
70
did we
last
get him at?
week.
230 grand or something, whatever we paid for him.
Mm. Yeah, and like you think, oh, if you average just 45 or something, you'd still be pretty happy, but he's hitting random big scores there. It's
Yeah.
crazy. He's like one of the best
Oh,
halves at the moment.
yeah, he actually plays a little bit like Wishart. He picks the ball and runs and then sort of scans and passes. So,
Mm.
I mean, kind of what you want in a 5'8", someone who's sort of, running with the ball and thinking about stuff, not just sort of acting as a pivot. And I kind of like that with that position.
Yeah, give me the footy and we'll work it out on the run for a lot of it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
as long
Yeah,
as the people around you know where you're going. Mate,
yeah,
just before we end up as well,
yep.
just a little bit of background on yourself. Obviously, been doing some rugby coaching over in Singapore. Just
Yeah.
tell people about that, just to give people an idea of where you're at and what you're up to.
Yeah, long-term expat, left Australia 22 years ago. I've been involved in rugby in a reasonably serious level in Singapore. I coach a local team called Bucks. I'm normally wearing something from Bucks.
Love it.
And I'm involved in the national program. I've coached the under-19 national team, and more recently I'm the manager of the Singapore national team for rugby.
It's awesome.
So yeah, that's kind of what I do. Banker during the day, but try not to hate me for that.
Oh, you
But
got
yeah,
both. Okay.
oh yeah. So that's what's
Yeah,
got us all over the world, mate. So that's
yeah,
love,
cool.
love the bank I work for, and love the experiences that I've got through doing this job.
Yeah, that's cool. How's the growth been over the last sort of 5 years in Singapore rugby?
Pretty good. I think it's a crazy place to play rugby when you think about it, right? It's like we're on the equator. It's very humid. It's very hot all the time. We
Yeah.
play rugby at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's blisteringly hot.
Ugh.
Um, so the players we got are pretty tough. There's been some good development. I bring up a team every year from Australia and all over the world to play in the Singapore Cricket Club Sevens competition, and we've got some semi-pro players out of Perth. My son plays first grade here in Perth as well, so we've through his contacts we've brought up some players to play in this sevens tournament, and that's becoming really really big.
Okay.
Like Fiji and Jura, a couple of teams from Perth turn up every year, blah, blah, blah. So and teams from Ponsonbury in New Zealand, they come to that tournament. So
When
that's
do you do
becoming
that?
really good. Singapore's now on the sevens circuit as well, the IRB sevens. And that's a great tournament that they put on every year. We get heavily involved in that, supporting not just that tournament, but other little tournaments that go on around it. So yeah, it's good. It's a scene. It's small, but yeah, it's good to be involved in it. I get a lot of personal satisfaction getting involved in rugby there.
No, it's great. Yeah, it's cool we obviously hear mostly stuff about Australia, so it's cool to hear about other nations that are getting involved in that. And then look, they'll
Yeah.
probably be as good as Australia rugby pretty soon, right?
Oh no, I'm a massive fan of Australian rugby. I hope Australian rugby is sort of, if they're heading towards Singapore, we've got a problem. I think,
Yeah. Are they gonna
I kind of like what I've seen the last few games from Australia. They're
Okay.
they're they're back in the groove and back into their winning ways. They've won 3 in a row, which they haven't done for a while.
Okay. Yeah, it
So
was a
yeah,
bit of a slide, wasn't it, for a bit?
yeah, it was very, very hard to be a Wallaby supporter the last 10 years.
That's fair. Well, good stuff, Bevan. All of us will be cheering you on. I know I will be.
Okay.
We need someone from
Well,
the
listen,
private group to be winning the comp. That's for sure, or
yeah,
at least in the
well,
photo finish.
well, shout out to you and the private group. I mean, those guys in that private group, there's some incredibly knowledgeable players, coaches, whatever we want to call ourselves, in that group, and they've sort of certainly talked me off the edge from some stupid trades over this season.
Do you remember
So
any of
yeah,
them?
great group. Was that?
Do you remember any of those trades you were thinking of doing?
Um, just things like oh, I'm thinking about bringing in such and such, and they're like, dude, he's going to be out of a job in 2 weeks.
Okay.
He's only injury cover, because I just don't have that level of knowledge, and some of these
Right.
guys have stopped making those type of trades.
Yeah, they're very helpful. Sometimes they get lucky though. Like people bring in the 2 week play and then someone else gets injured and they're there forever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, when everyone was clambering around looking for Wishart, I was like, yeah, I've actually had him from the start. And people were like, how?
that was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
So,
he was just like that cover guy on the bench. He'd done it for like 2 years
yeah,
now, right? Where he just averaged like
correct.
13 in 20 minutes and just be painful. But yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, he
suppose it
is. But
happens,
like
eh?
everyone, if you get a chance in a good side, then why not? Yeah.
Yeah, these young talented players, sometimes that's all it is. You need a couple of games, get a chance, and then you're good to go, which yeah,
I'm
what they
pretty
did with
sure
Yalb
other
and
clubs
everything.
would be other clubs must be looking at Wishart now going, wow, if that kid's not getting a run, I could probably use him. That's a talented 5'8" right there.
Just the smarts and stuff, in it. It's hard to find
Mhm.
halves that are just yeah, really smart, not just straight talent. It's you can see that he's looking at angles and he's defends really good and there's
Yeah,
some good
yeah.
stuff there. So
A lot to like. A lot to
yeah,
like.
definitely. Just like his dad, eh? So good stuff, Bevan. Thank you for jumping on. And
Okay,
as I
mate.
said, good luck for the rest of the season. And I think we might have a few people following where you are on the leaderboard now when they check out rankings. So you'll be famous
Okay.
for a little
All right.
bit.
Famous for 5 minutes. Okay. Thanks, Jamie. Really appreciate it, buddy. It's
Thanks,
been great.
Bevan. See you guys.
Cheers.